Imagine this, you're rushing to work, coffee in one hand, diaper bag in the other. You kiss your little one goodbye, trusting that they'll be safe, cared for, and protected. You smile as you walk away, believing that the people inside that daycare, the people you're paying to watch over your child, will treat them with kindness. But what if they don't? What if, behind those brightly colored walls and cheerful decorations, something far more sinister is happening? What if, instead of hugs and gentle words, your child is being slapped? Screamed at? Terrified into silence? What if, every time you turn your back, trusting that they're in good hands, someone like this man, a daycare worker named Brandon Vigil, is hurting them? This isn't some made-up horror story. This is real. It happened in Centennial, Colorado. One daycare. One worker. 51 charges of child abuse. And here's the worst part, this case was caught. But how many others go completely unnoticed? Because the truth is, most parents will never know. They'll see their child cry at drop-off and assume it's separation anxiety. They'll hear their little one say, "I don't like Miss Sarah," and brush it off as a child being fussy. They'll notice bruises and scratches but believe the excuse that kids just fall and trip sometimes. And in doing so, they'll miss the warning signs. Right now, ask yourself, how well do you really know what happens when you drop your child off at daycare? Do you know if the staff are properly trained? Do you know if they've passed background checks? Do you know what goes on when no one is watching? Because in this case, someone was watching. There was evidence. Witnesses. A case strong enough to bring charges. And yet, it still happened. So what about all the cases where there's no proof? No witnesses? No one willing to speak up? Let that sink in for a moment. How many children are suffering in silence while their parents remain completely unaware? Stay with me. Because by the end of this video, you'll not only know exactly what happened in this case, but more importantly, you'll learn how to protect your child from becoming the next victim. Subscribe now, because no parent should have to live with the regret of not knowing sooner. To understand the horror that unfolded inside this daycare, we need to start with one name, Brandon Vigil. Who was he? A trained childcare professional? A trusted educator? No. He was simply a man placed in a position of power over children too small, too young, and too innocent to defend themselves. Brandon worked at Innovative Education, a daycare in Centennial, Colorado, a place where parents believed their children would be safe. He was a staff member, responsible for watching over toddlers and young kids throughout the day. Parents saw him as just another daycare worker, someone who greeted them at the door, someone they assumed was kind, patient, and professional. But inside those walls? Behind closed doors? He was something else entirely. And no one knew. Not at first. Because abuse like this doesn't happen in the open. It happens in shadows, in moments that go unseen, except by the children who suffer through it. But the truth has a way of coming out. And in this case, it exploded like a bombshell. When the first whispers of concern surfaced, it wasn't a parent who noticed. It wasn't a child who spoke up. It was other daycare workers. They had seen things. Heard things. And what they reported was horrifying. Brandon Vigil wasn't just being strict. He wasn't just having a bad day. He was physically hurting children. Slaps across tiny hands. Harsh yanks on fragile arms. Angry voices raised at toddlers who could barely form full sentences. One staff member described how Brandon would throw objects, not just near the children, but at them. Another recalled the look of terror on the kids' faces when he walked into the room. Imagine that. Imagine a room full of toddlers, barely old enough to understand right from wrong, still learning to talk, still learning to trust, and the one adult they were supposed to rely on was the very person they feared most. And yet, it continued. Day after day, behind the cheerful daycare walls, these children were being hurt. And their parents had no idea. But then, someone took action. A fellow staff member, someone who had seen enough, reported the abuse. And once that first report was made, more followed. Investigators launched an immediate probe, and what they uncovered was disturbing beyond belief. Children, some too young to fully explain what had happened to them, showed signs of fear. Their behavior changed. Some became withdrawn, quiet. Others became aggressive, mirroring the treatment they had received. And then, there was the evidence. Not just testimonies. Not just suspicions. Proof. Parents were contacted. Witnesses were questioned. Statements were collected. And finally, Brandon Vigil was arrested. But the shock didn't end there. Because when the full extent of his crimes came to light, it wasn't just one child. It wasn't just one moment of anger. It was 51 counts of child abuse. 51. Let that sink in. That means dozens of innocent children, children who could have been yours, mine, anyone's, had suffered under his care. And yet, how many others had gone unnoticed? The authorities wasted no time. Brandon Vigil was charged with 51 counts of child abuse, each count representing a moment where a child was harmed. Each charge carrying the weight of a parent's worst nightmare. But what happens next? Will he face real consequences? Will the justice system hold him accountable? Or will he, like so many others, find a way to escape true punishment? That is what remains to be seen. But here's the question that should haunt every parent watching this: how many other Brandons are out there? How many other daycares have abusers hiding behind friendly smiles and polite greetings? And more importantly, would you even know if your child was one of their victims? Because in this case, Brandon Vigil was caught. He was exposed. But how many others get away with it? Think about that. And before you drop your child off at daycare tomorrow, really think. Are you absolutely sure they're safe? If you want to know how to protect your child from becoming the next victim, keep watching. Because what you're about to learn could save a life. Subscribe now. Because this isn't just a story. This is a warning. As we delve deeper into the unsettling world of daycare abuse, it's crucial to understand that the case of Brandon Vigil is not an isolated incident. Daycare abuse is a pervasive issue that affects countless children and families worldwide. While comprehensive global statistics are challenging to obtain due to underreporting and varying definitions, numerous cases have surfaced that highlight the gravity of the problem. Megan Marchena, a 26-year-old daycare worker, was arrested for allegedly pushing an 18-month-old girl's face onto a cot at Tutor Time Child Care and Learning Center in Lindenhurst. This assault resulted in the child bleeding and requiring stitches. The incident underscores the potential dangers lurking within trusted childcare institutions. 8-month-old Reese Annette Bowman was tragically smothered to death by daycare worker Leah Walden at Rocketeers Learning Center. Surveillance footage revealed Walden's deliberate actions, leading to her conviction and a 70-year prison sentence. This case highlights the extreme vulnerabilities children face in daycare settings. 5-year-old Malachi Subek suffered prolonged abuse at the hands of his caregiver, Michaela Barabal. Despite visible injuries and concerns raised by daycare staff, the abuse continued, culminating in Malachi's death. This tragedy emphasizes the critical need for vigilant reporting and intervention. Several systemic issues contribute to the occurrence of abuse in daycare settings. Inadequate background checks and a lack of thorough vetting can lead to unqualified or malicious individuals being placed in positions of trust. Inconsistent standards and oversight across regions can result in environments where abusive behaviors go unnoticed or unaddressed. Low wages and insufficient training can lead to frustration and inappropriate responses to children's behavior. The repercussions of daycare abuse extend beyond the immediate physical harm to children. Families are left grappling with guilt, anger, and a profound sense of betrayal. In the case of Ashley Griffith in Australia, parents expressed their anguish upon discovering that a trusted friend and educator had abused their children. The psychological scars left on both the victims and their families are deep and enduring. These cases serve as a stark reminder of the urgent need for comprehensive reforms in the childcare industry. Ensuring the safety and well-being of our children requires implementing rigorous background checks and continuous monitoring of staff. Establishing and enforcing uniform standards across all childcare facilities. Providing proper training and fair wages to attract and retain qualified caregivers. Daycare abuse is a grave issue that demands our immediate attention. By acknowledging the problem and understanding its root causes, we can work collectively to create safer environments for our children. The safety of our youngest and most vulnerable citizens must always be a top priority. As parents, entrusting our children to a daycare facility is a decision rooted in trust and the belief that they will be cared for in a safe and nurturing environment. However, the unsettling reality is that daycare abuse, though often hidden, does occur. Recognizing the warning signs is paramount in safeguarding our children. Children may not always have the words to express their distress, but their behaviors can speak volumes. It's crucial to be vigilant and attentive to any sudden or unexplained changes. If a child who previously enjoyed attending daycare suddenly becomes anxious or fearful, expressing reluctance or dread about going, this shift could indicate underlying issues. They might cling to parents during drop-off, cry excessively, or attempt to avoid attending altogether. Abrupt mood swings, increased aggression, withdrawal, or signs of depression can be red flags. A child might become unusually quiet, lose interest in activities they once loved, or exhibit regressive behaviors such as bedwetting or thumb-sucking. The appearance of bruises, scratches, or other injuries without a clear explanation is concerning. If a child is hesitant or unable to explain how they got hurt, or if their explanations seem implausible, it's essential to investigate further. While children's behaviors can provide clues, the environment and practices within the daycare center also warrant close observation. Frequent staff changes can disrupt the consistency of care and may indicate underlying management or operational issues. A stable team is often a sign of a healthy work environment and reliable care. Policies that limit or discourage unscheduled parental visits should raise concerns. Transparent facilities typically welcome parents and encourage open communication. If a child displays apprehension, anxiety, or fear toward specific caregivers, it's essential to take note. They might avoid eye contact, shy away from touch, or become visibly distressed in certain individuals' presence. In an age where technology offers additional means to ensure safety, many parents consider the use of hidden cameras. However, it's crucial to navigate this area with an understanding of legal boundaries. The legality of installing hidden cameras varies by jurisdiction. In some regions, parents may have the right to place cameras in areas where they have a reasonable expectation of privacy, such as their own homes. However, installing cameras in daycare centers without consent can lead to legal complications. It's vital to consult local laws and regulations before taking such actions. There have been instances where hidden cameras have brought abusive practices to light. For example, in New York City, a teacher at Happy Dragon Children Learning Center was caught on surveillance bruising a 3-year-old autistic boy and putting hand sanitizer in his mouth. The daycare attempted to cover up the incident, but the footage led to the teacher's guilty plea for endangering the welfare of a child. The safety and well-being of our children are paramount. Staying informed, observing both our children's behaviors and the practices within daycare facilities, and understanding the legal avenues available will help us take proactive steps to protect them. Trust your instincts, maintain open lines of communication with your children, and don't hesitate to act if something feels amiss. Together, we can create safer environments where our children can thrive. Ensuring the safety and well-being of our children is a paramount concern for every parent. Selecting a trustworthy daycare, maintaining open communication with your child, and knowing the appropriate steps to take if you suspect abuse are crucial components in this endeavor. Selecting the right daycare requires diligent research and keen observation. Begin by verifying that the daycare is licensed by the appropriate state authorities. Licensing ensures that the facility meets specific safety and operational standards. Additionally, inquire about the background checks performed on staff members. Comprehensive screenings can prevent individuals with concerning histories from being in positions of care. Schedule visits at different times to observe daily routines and interactions. Pay attention to how staff engage with children, look for warmth, patience, and attentiveness. Notice if children appear comfortable and happy, as their demeanor can reflect the quality of care they receive. Research the daycare's reputation by reading reviews from other parents. Consult state inspection reports to identify any past violations or complaints. For instance, Honey Tree Preschool in Connecticut expanded to a third location in Bethel, reflecting its positive reputation and adherence to quality standards. Open dialogue with your child can provide insights into their daycare experience and help identify any issues. Encourage your child to share specifics about their day, including activities, meals, and interactions. This practice not only enhances their communication skills but also allows you to detect any inconsistencies or concerning details. Engage in role-playing exercises to help your child understand appropriate and inappropriate behaviors. This method empowers them to recognize and respond to uncomfortable situations effectively. Create a simple, memorable code word that your child can use to signal when they feel unsafe or need assistance. This strategy provides them with a discreet way to communicate distress. Taking immediate and appropriate action is vital if you suspect your child is being abused. Contact local law enforcement, child protective services, or state licensing agencies to report your concerns. In the United States, certain professionals are mandated reporters, legally required to report suspected child abuse. Maintain detailed records of any signs of abuse, including dates, descriptions, and any explanations provided. Photographs of physical injuries and notes from medical examinations can serve as critical evidence. Prioritize your child's safety by withdrawing them from the daycare if abuse is suspected. Seek alternative care arrangements while the investigation is ongoing. In the face of adversity, there are parents whose unwavering determination has led to the exposure of abuse, bringing justice to their children and inspiring others to take action. These real-life success stories highlight the power of vigilance, courage, and the relentless pursuit of safety. In Central Texas, 3 families entrusted their toddlers, aged 2 to 3 years, to a daycare program run by the YMCA. Their trust was shattered when they discovered that caregiver Geraldine Browning had allegedly subjected their children to abusive practices, including choking and leaving them unsupervised. The abuse came to light when the program director reviewed surveillance footage while searching for a missing shoe. Despite the evidence, the YMCA did not immediately report the incidents or inform the parents, allowing the caregiver to remain employed until her eventual arrest. The families have since filed a lawsuit against the YMCA, seeking over $1 million in damages for the severe physical, emotional, and mental injuries their children sustained. This case underscores the critical importance of transparency and prompt action in safeguarding children. In Australia, the case of Ashley Paul Griffith sent shockwaves through the community. Griffith, a convicted pedophile, received a life sentence for abusing 65 girls over 20 years in Brisbane childcare centres. This horrifying revelation has prompted child safety advocates to push for expanded police powers and stricter regulations. Proposed changes include allowing police to search suspected individuals' phones without a court order and enhancing training for childcare staff to identify harmful behavior. Additionally, there are calls for redesigning childcare centers to incorporate transparent designs and ensure constant adult supervision, preventing child isolation and potential abuse. This case highlights the need for systemic changes to protect children from such predators. Experts like Sandy K. Woodteal have dedicated their careers to preventing child sexual abuse through education and proactive measures. Woodteal's research emphasizes the importance of teaching personal safety skills to young children, encouraging open communication between parents and children, and implementing comprehensive prevention programs in schools and childcare centers. Her work serves as a valuable resource for parents and educators striving to create safe environments for children. These stories serve as powerful reminders of the impact that vigilant parents, dedicated professionals, and informed communities can have in protecting children. By staying informed, advocating for systemic changes, and fostering open communication, we can create safer environments where children can thrive without fear. You've heard the stories. You've seen the warning signs. You know the dangers. Now, it's time to take action. As a parent, guardian, or caregiver, your voice matters. Your vigilance matters. And most importantly, your child's safety matters. Daycare abuse is not some far-off, rare event. It's happening in communities all over the world, sometimes right under our noses. But you don't have to be powerless. You can protect your child. You can prevent another tragedy. So, what can you do? First, be proactive. Before choosing a daycare, do your research. Look up licensing records. Read reviews. Drop in unexpectedly to see how staff interacts with children. If something doesn't feel right, trust your gut. Second, talk to your child. Make open conversations a daily habit. Teach them that their voice matters. Teach them the difference between safe and unsafe behavior. And if they ever express fear or discomfort, listen. Third, stay involved. Visit the daycare often. Build relationships with the caregivers. Be the parent who asks questions. Because the more present you are, the harder it is for abuse to go unnoticed. And if you ever suspect something is wrong, don't wait. Take action. Know where to report abuse. Call your local child protective services. Report concerns to your state's daycare licensing agency. If a crime has been committed, contact the police immediately. Now, we want to hear from you. Have you ever had a bad experience with a daycare? Have you seen warning signs? Share your story in the comments. Your experience could help another parent spot danger before it's too late. If this video opened your eyes, hit the like button. Share this video with every parent you know. And if you want to help protect children, subscribe to this channel. We expose the truth, uncover hidden dangers, and give parents the tools they need to keep their children safe. Because no child should suffer in silence. This starts with you. This starts now.